Hi, everyone. Today we're going to talk about measures of central tendency, also known as the measures of center. There are three. They're the mean, the median, and the mode. First, let's start with a definition. A measure of central tendency, or a measure of center, is a summary measure that attempts to describe a whole set of data with a single value that represents the middle or center of its distribution. What does all that mean? It means we attempt to define a data set by one number in its middle. And there are three ways that we can look to find what the middle of the distribution is. They are mean, median, and mode. In future videos, we're going to talk about which measure of center to use when, but today your learning targets are simply to learn to calculate or find where these numbers are in the data set. So your first learning target is I can calculate the mean of a data set. And the second one is I can find the median of a data set. And lastly, you'll be able to find the mode of a set of data. Well, in order to find mean, median, and mode, first we have to have a data set. So let's start with some test scores. These are scores of a fictitious person from one class that they took, various test scores, for example, that they took in the class. And as you move through middle school and high school, you'll hear teachers talk to you about you have a 82 in my class, or you have a 93 in my class. What does that mean? How do we find that number? That number is the average. It's the mean of all of the scores that we put in the grade book for you. So let's take these scores and find the mean. Here we have our data set. To find the mean, we're going to add and then we're going to divide. What do we add? We add all these numbers together. We're going to add up all the numbers in the data set and get a total of 539. Then we're going to take 539 and divide it by the number of grades in our data set. There's 7 grades in our data set, so we're going to divide 539 by 7. And we get 77. 77 for this data set is the mean. It's the average. It's what you would have in someone's class if these were your test scores. So that is the mean. We add up all the numbers and then divide by the amount of numbers in our data set. What is the median? The median is the middle number of an odd numbered data set. In order to find the middle number, the very first thing we have to do is put the numbers in order from smallest to largest. So I'm going to do that now. 82 and 85. Now that they're in order from smallest to largest, I'm going to count from the outside in, looking for that number that's by itself in the middle. In this case, it's 79. Easy peasy. That 79, that's the median of this odd numbered data set because we had 7 numbers and not 6 and not 8. There was one number by itself in the middle of the data set, and that number, 79, represents the median. Well, what if we did have 6 or 8 numbers? How would we find the median then? Let's take a look. The median of an even numbered data set is the mean of the 2 numbers in the middle. What do I mean? First, we have to take the numbers and put them in order again from smallest to largest. 82 and 85. Now notice I've added an 80 here. I've added a test score to my data set. So now instead of 7 numbers, I have 8. So when I count from the outside toward the middle, what I find is that I have 2 numbers in the middle of my data set, not just one. I have 79 and 80. The true median of the data set is the number that's halfway between 79 and 80. How do I find that number? I find its mean. I add and then divide. I add the 2 numbers in the middle and I divide their sum by 2, the number of numbers I added together. In this case, that answer is 79.5. So the median of our new data set with the additional data point is 79.5. That's the median, the middle number. So now that we've looked at mean and median, let's take a look at mode. We'll keep our same data set with the additional number in it, and we'll once again put our numbers in order from smallest to largest, 82 and 85. Now all I have to do is look for the number or numbers that repeat the most. Well, in this data set, the only number that repeats is 80. That's the only number in the data set that appears more than once. And when I have them all in order, I can see that very clearly. So in this case, 80 is the mode of the data set. That's it. It's that simple. Two things to keep in mind. The first is if more than one number in your data set repeats the most, if I had two 79s and two 80s, then I can have more than one mode. My mode would be the number or numbers that repeat the most often. Another thing to keep in mind is that if no numbers repeat in my data set, then I have no mode. There is no mode if none of the numbers repeat. So those are two important things to keep in mind about the mode. So now we've learned mean, we've learned median, and we've learned mode. Let's recap. The mean, to calculate it, you add all the numbers in your data set together and then divide by the number of data points that you have. To find the median, you find the middle number of an odd numbered data set, or you find the mean of the two middle numbers in an even numbered data set. And lastly, to find the mode, it's the number or numbers that repeat the most in your data set. And two key things to keep in mind about the mode are there can be more than one number that is your mode, or there could be no number at all. There could be no mode. So now that we've taken a look at how to calculate and find these three measures of center, we'll move on to learn about when is the best time to use each of those. In which case scenarios would mean be better than median to look at. We'll take a look at that in future videos. Thank you so much. And